Greetings. My name is Martin Chris Glenn, and I'm the president of the Phoenix Culture Movement. Phoenix Culture Movement, for those that do not know, is an organization devoted to cultivating self-sustaining communities focused on cultural awareness, spirituality, and economic empowerment. Now, when we think about communities, we have to grasp the understanding of what the word community means. A community means two things: it's common and unity. So we like to explain to people that we are bringing people together for a common goal and unifying them. Common unity, that's a community. When you think about where a lot of us live, we live in neighborhoods. We don't live in communities. Why? Because we haven't come together. There's no goal. And so thus, that's why we have so much chaos. That's why we have so much confusion. That's why we're in such a desperate state as a whole, as a people. So the Phoenix Culture Movement was created with the concept of first the phoenix. If you don't know, the phoenix is a bird. It was actually taken from ancient Egypt, the Bennu bird. And then later on, Europeans took it and it became known as the phoenix. But the phoenix itself is a bird that regenerates itself out of its own ashes. So out of its own flames, out of its own ashes, it resurrects itself. So we wanted that symbol and we wanted that mentality of a resurrected mindset, because we as a people, for a large majority of us, were dead to the knowledge of who we are culturally, spiritually, dead to finances, having no understanding of finances and money. And so when you're dead to the knowledge of who you are and you're spiritually dead, right, what's going to happen? You're going to produce these dead results. You're just going to be a consumer. So we want to combat that mentality with the realities that we are not dead. We come from a great people. We come from the kingdom builders and the civilization builders. That's the blood that's flowing through our veins. So this is the culture that we're pushing, right? It's a culture with a wealth mindset. It's a culture with a success mindset. It's a culture with a living spirituality, not a dead one. To say that what is inside of us is the ability to create whatever we want. So the Phoenix Culture Movement is just that. And so the Phoenix Culture Movement, our mission is to help develop individuals in every aspect, mentally, physically, and spiritually, through courses, classes, lectures, books, videos, consulting, coaching, because we teach mastery of oneself in order to help one reach their highest potential personally, professionally, spiritually, to help you reach your highest potential. So that's our mission, to help people be great, to help people accomplish what they want. Now, that's easier said than done, right? But it must be done. Someone must take on this responsibility. So members of the Phoenix Culture Movement are business owners and people that want to make a change, real lasting change, not just talking, right? We're talking about real sustainable. Remember I said at the beginning of this video, sustainable things, right? How do we make sustainable things? Think about the conditions that plague us. We got to first solve the problems that are plaguing our communities, okay? These are just 5 things that are plaguing our communities. Poverty. When we think about poverty, we shouldn't just think about money or lack of physical money, okay? Poverty is a disease, and it's mental first. So when you see someone physically in financial ruin or financial lack, it starts with their mind, right? So a physically poor person first thinks he's poor to call himself poor, okay? So it starts with your mind, okay? And biblically or speaking, as a man thinketh, so shall he be. So if you think you're poor, then you're going to be poor. And so when you think about the communities that we live in, when you see poverty, people mark themselves poor and they say they're poor, so therefore their life produces poor results. Okay. But guess what? Most people don't know that Black people or African Americans are the #1 consumers We consume so much, right? We're the number one consumers, but what are we producing? So we want to combat this poverty mindset with a wealth mindset. The wealth mindset starts with you and us understanding that we're not poor, we're wealthy. See, we teach that you were born rich. You were born with infinite potential. So if you're born with infinite potential and you're have all this power inside of you, to manifest money is an easy thing. But we've been taught that it's a hard thing. Okay, so that starts because we don't have an understanding of money. So we want to teach to combat this poverty mindset. Okay, so this is what we're about. We have to solve this problem. And one of the ways that we attack the problem of poverty is we attack the mental thinking that is being permeated throughout our communities and society through TV, radio, social media that is producing this poverty mindset. And this mindset is manifesting physically into poor people. It's manifesting into people that are getting tax returns and they're just blowing all of their money and they're doing the same thing over and over again each year. People that think it's about saving and don't know the power of investing. So that's one of the ways we're going to attack this problem of poverty. Second, what's another thing plaguing us? Depression, excuse me, self-hate, self-hatred. You know, this goes back to a lot of what we was indoctrinated with, to hate ourselves and hate who we are, to hate who we are as a people, right? To see, to not be able to see greatness in yourself when you look in the mirror, okay? So we have to combat that, okay? We have to be able to acknowledge, yes, we went through bad things, but we can't dwell in that misery because that causes depression, okay? Because that causes us to constantly think about something bad and then we feel bad all the time and it produces depression. And depressed people do not produce positive results. So we want to combat that self-hate. We want to teach everyone to be able to see divinity in themselves. And if you see divinity in yourself, you're going to love yourself. And if you love yourself, right, you're going to love your offspring and your children. And if your children see their mother and fathers loving themselves, they're going to love themselves. They're going to love their sisters and brothers. Okay, so now we're combating that. We're combating that. And these children grow up to become people. Okay, and then if you love yourself, you can love your neighbor as much as you love yourself. But you have to love yourself first. So just think about that for a second. So we have to combat these things. It's self-hate. So when we see violence and crime, people killing one another, you know, people that we went to high school with, you know, guys arguing about minuscule things, about money, something that we can gain again, and people taking each other's lives, that's self-hate. But it starts, you know, with the wrong mindset. So we want to combat that. Okay? We want to fix that problem. All right? So financial literacy. Okay? Financial literacy. What is it? It's a word that people use. It's simply understanding how finances relate to every aspect of your life. There's nothing that money doesn't affect in your life. Okay? So you have to understand money and how it works. And how does it affect our life? How does it affect every aspect of our life? Our food, our clothing, our shelter, the books we read, the TV we watch. It all deals with finances. And once people grasp this understanding, you will respect the dollar a lot more. Okay? If you respected the dollar and you understood how it worked, then you will understand with the proper mindset behind that dollar, we can create our own salvation. We can transform and create our own reality. We can create systems and programs that become schools, and then we create our own education system to combat this public education system that in a lot of ways is failing us. Okay, so we got to combat that. Spiritual ignorance. Spiritual ignorance is just that simple. Not realizing that spiritually the divine is inside you. You know, people are ignoring the fact that divinity is inside of us. We're ignoring the fact that uh, what people call God, I don't care what you call God, it's inside of you. Every scripture says that God is inside man. You're in the image and likeness of God. So if you ignore that, then that produces a spiritual ignorance. Now, why is that important? Because if I understand that there's divinity inside me, then I understand that there's nothing that I can't do. All right. And then if you understand that there's divinity inside you, you stop making excuses, because you and that divine have to come together as one, and then you can accomplish things. Okay. But we are ignoring these things. We're doing things just as a man, not realizing that we're created in the image and likeness of God. So what can't you do if God is inside you? See, if we teach this to our children, then we're going to raise children that have no limitations. We're gonna raise children that say, well, we can create the answer to these problems. Okay, and that's what we want to do. All right. Now, combating what? The slave mindset, lack of knowledge of self. What's the slave mindset? It's that simple. The slave mindset is a mindset that says, I don't create, I just work for someone and help them create their reality and their heaven on earth. So we have to combat that mindset, right? Now that drifts down and manifests to us in everyday financial terms as an employee mindset, to just be an employee. Now, is there something wrong with being an employee or working for someone? Definitely not. I wouldn't be where I am if I wasn't a student of someone. So we all have to have some form of apprenticeship and some form of schooling in order to get ourselves to a certain level. But the problem is business owners are the ones that create hospitals and create schools and create institutions and create houses of worship. Business owners, okay? So therefore, we have to shift our mindset from an employee mindset or from a slave mindset and say we have the ability to create. See, everything is mindset. So these are some of the problems that the Phoenix Culture Movement seeks to solve. We want to solve these problems. Okay, now what we are and how we want to solve them. We unite entrepreneurs, business owners for a common goal: to empower and educate the community mentally, spiritually, culturally, and economically. All right. So we emphasize we unite entrepreneurs and business owners. Why? Because if we're going to build a community, then we first have to then the ones that are the builders and the ones who grasp the understanding that it takes money and economics and the understanding of it, we have to bring them together. All right. And we have to bring them together, and then we can build a foundation. All right. So most people should be familiar with Black Wall Street that was in Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 1900s. And that's an example when we as Black people were very successful and we built our own economy, and we were thriving, and the dollar circulated for months within the community, and that produced wealth. But it was established by business owners, right? And we have videos, and you can watch the videos on that we have here at the Phoenix Culture Movement about how Black Wall Street was created, why it was able to sustain itself. And so we like to emphasize we bring together entrepreneurs and business owners because entrepreneurs are thinkers, thinking outside of the box. And for us to do this and address those problems, we got to be revolutionary thinkers. We got to think outside of the box. We got to look at and understand that we have been placed in a system. We can create our own system, though. But before you create a system, you have to understand how the system that you're in was created. So we have to have knowledge, okay? So this is what we want to do. We come together as business owners, entrepreneurs to address these issues. Now, think about it. If we're going to address these issues, then we have to have a mechanism and a way to get there, okay? So the Phoenix Culture Movement supports the Seed of Life. The Seed of Life is an organization, and SEED is an acronym. So SEED is SEED, and that stands for self-empowerment equals deliverance. Think about it. Self-empowerment equals deliverance. All right. So you have the power to deliver yourself from the problems that you have financially. Okay. How? Why do you have that power? Why? Because it is in you. It was created in you. It is the divine that is in you. For those of you that are into religion, well, it's in the very books and the scriptures that God is in man and woman, right? You see what I'm saying? So self-empowerment, well, that's really saying you have to get involved with your own liberation. Okay, so the mechanism that we choose to address these issues, those 5 issues, and there's other issues, is the Seed of Life. The Seed of Life has a nonprofit, which is Seed of Life Movement. Okay, so Phoenix Culture Movement is raising funds to create the Seed of Life Community Center. Within that community center, we will have schools, we will have classes, lectures, exercise facilities, and it would be a center to bring the community together. So we're going to have a lot of programs that are going to be able to push exactly what we're talking about addressing and solving those problems that are plaguing the community. We're going to do this through the Seed of Life. For more information, and we definitely want you to watch the video on the Seed of Life and the Seed of Life Community Center, which we are supporting and pushing to bring to a physical reality. Thank you.